Okay, expected returns are based on the probabilities of possible outcomes. Expected return is when you take the probability times, just like what we were doing here. You take the probability of a state times the rate, and you add them together. That's all this is saying, just like what we were doing. Systematic risk. Systematic risk is a factor that affects a large number of assets. It's the entire market going down or going up. It's non-diversifiable. It cannot be diversified out. So changes in GDP, inflation, interest rates. Unsystematic risk is risk that can be diversified out of your portfolio. It's risk factors that affect a limited number of assets. Risk that can be eliminated by combining assets into portfolios. It's unique risk or asset-specific risk. Examples are labor strikes, part shortages, etc. So if you only own one stock, you have very high unsystematic risk. But if you own many stocks, one will go down, one will go up. But if the entire market...
That's why it's good to have hedge funds.
Right.
But hedge funds cost a lot, man. I think the cheapest one you get is like $3 grand. I mean, for rich people, it's fine.
Principle of diversification. Diversification can substantially reduce risk without an equivalent reduction in expected returns. It reduces the variability of returns caused by the offset of worse than expected returns from one asset by better than expected returns from another. Minimum level of risk that cannot be diversified away is the systematic portion. So, systematic risk is the minimum level of risk that you cannot diversify away. Total risk is equal to standalone risk. Total risk is equal to your systematic risk plus your unsystematic risk. The standard deviation of returns is a measure of total risk. For well-diversified...
Standard deviation is a measurement of total risk, you said?
Standard deviation of return. Yes, this is so confusing to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Standard deviation. Okay, let me write that down. Okay, so standard deviation of returns is a measure of total risk.
I didn't know you were left-handed.
Yeah.
You've been left-handed a long time?
Yep. When I was really little, I was ambidextrous, but then I broke my arm, and then I started writing only with my left hand. So.
You fell out a tree or something?
I don't remember. I was too little. For well-diversified portfolios, unsystematic risk is very small. Total risk for a diversified portfolio is essentially equivalent to systematic risk. Systematic risk principle. There is a reward for bearing risk, but there is no reward for bearing risk unnecessarily. The expected return or market-required return on an asset depends only on that asset's systematic or market risk. Interpretation of beta. If beta is equal to 1, the stock has average risk. If stock is greater than 1, riskier.
So the higher the
less
riskier.
risky. Right.
So you kind of, I don't know, it kind of depends what you want.
Right. Depends on how...
Sometimes I'll be like, yeah, let's get the risky one. Other times,
So, okay. Consider the following information. Which security has more total risk? Okay, so standard deviation is a measure of total risk.
So do you multiply like 0.2 by 1.25?
No, because remember what we were just reading. Standard deviation is a measure of total risk.
Okay.
So when it says total risk,
fine.
So
security K has more total risk.
Right.
Systematic risk, the security C has more systematic risk. Which security should have the higher expected return?
Okay.
That's the one we have to kind of, do we have to multiply?
Okay, so wait, hold on. Okay, beta is a measure of the risk of the individual asset.
Individual asset. So,
which is the
right.
Unsystematic risk.
So don't you think security C has more systematic risk?
Okay. Beta is... Okay, this is so confusing. Okay.